Welcome. My name is Brad Loveland. I work for Charlotte Land Development Services as an erosion control inspector. I'm a certified professional in erosion and sediment control and have over 6 years full-time experience reviewing and approving erosion control plans and conducting inspections. The following video is our virtual inspection presentation. In an effort to provide a realistic inspection experience without tour buses and dirty boots, we put this together as the next best thing. All the mud and none of the mess. We'll be going through what I consider a typical site inspection today, from start to finish. Our subject site is a 22-acre commercial site in the Lake Wylie critical area. It's located on Shopton Road West near I-485. The project was approved on June the 5th, 2008, and construction began in July 2008. Right now, the site is in the mass grading phase of their plan. Eventually, there will be a grocery store and a strip mall on this site. Let's get started by becoming more acquainted with the approved plan. It's important that the inspector refers to the most up-to-date approved plan from the appropriate permitting agency. Why don't we take a closer look at this plan, specifically the erosion control plan. Now, in order to correctly fill out our logbook, we need to identify all the soil erosion and sediment control BMPs that protect the site. Each of you should have a sample logbook inspection form in your booklet. Let's use the plan to prepare the log for our field inspection. The logbook looks like this. First, let's fill out the project name. For our purposes, we'll call this the virtual site. The next item to fill out is the inspection date. Note that monitoring for the week beginning is a complicated way to say inspection date. For now, we'll skip the rainfall and signature certification sections. Those should not be completed until we begin the actual inspection in the field. Just below that, you'll see the section titled Erosion and Sediment Control Facilities Inspected. This will be the list of your BMPs. I'd like to start by identifying all the construction entrances. There are two on this particular site. Now is a good time to get our sediment fence listed. As you can see, sediment fence protects the entire downstream perimeter of the site. Note that there are some adjacent wetlands off-site that will require special attention. Wetlands must be protected with high hazard sediment fence, which should be located along this area. Let's put that on the log. Next, let's look at our sediment basin. On this site, we have three basins. The first basin is a skimmer basin. This basin serves a denuded area of 16 acres. Note this on the log as skimmer basin number 1. While we're looking at the skimmer basin number 1, we should go ahead and identify the conveyances serving the basin and get them on the log. We'll identify these conveyances by the basin they serve. This is basin 2. This basin has a denuded area of 3 acres, so it only requires a rock weir basin. Now we will fill out sediment basin number 2. While we're looking at basin number 2, let's go ahead and identify the conveyances for 2, as we did with the first one. Go ahead and write down slope drains to basin 2 and diversion ditches to basin number 2. There's one final basin in the southeast corner of this site. We'll call this basin number 3. While we're looking at sediment basin number 3, let's do the same thing we did for basin 1 and 2. Write down slope drains to basin number 3 and diversion ditches to basin number 3. The next section is labeled Observation of Runoff at Stormwater Discharge Outfalls. Remember, you don't need to fill this out unless you have a rain event of half an inch of rain or more within a 24-hour period. These are areas that are most likely to have problems or otherwise experience damage from construction site stormwater. On this site, critical areas will be at each basin outfall. These steep slopes and this wetland area adjacent to the project site. Go ahead and fill in the date while you're at it. Let's wait to fill out the rest of this until you get into the field. Your finished logbook should look like this.